Welcome to Superhero Pow. I'm your host nerd, Tom Fremgen. Hey, how you doing there? What should we talk about today? I got no idea which one. No, wait, I know. The animation industry is collapsing. Have you seen those videos people are making? People coming in saying like, oh my gosh, the animation industry has never been this bad before. It's in free fall. Everybody's getting laid off. Just AI is taking over everything. The industry is dead. No, not really. It's not. Mind you, this is definitely a rough patch, to be sure, but for the most part, the industry has seen this many times. I suppose the biggest contention is that there was overstaffing being done during the COVID lockdowns because animators could work at home easily. And as usual, the studios and networks and streamers who were, buying all this content, well, they bought too much, and now they have to scale back. Unfortunately, this is something that happens in every industry. I assume it even happens in shoe manufacturing, so sadly, this is nothing new. It always stinks when it happens, and you would like to wish and hope one day, the people in charge of staffing and putting together projects would realize you can't grow so fast so quickly and not expect it all to fall down within a year or so. But, everybody's chasing dollar signs. And it's true that I do know some talented artists out there who have had trouble getting work in the past year or so. Don't get me wrong by being about the state of the animation industry. It's not collapsing. It's just, it's painful for a lot of people out there. And to a certain degree, I'm talking about firsthand experience. This whole bubble bust thing reminds me of the bubble bust that happened in the 90s. Disney was killing it with their movies, so everybody else decided, well, okay, we need to have an animation studio as well. So animation studios popped up all over. People by the hundreds got hired. And then when nobody's film did anywhere close to what a Disney movie did, they all shut down and lots of unemployment, lots of competition for the few jobs that were left over. And that's what's happening now. There's a lot of people out there who are skilled and talented, but the number of jobs have shrunk, so there's too much competition for the jobs that exist. It's going to be a little bit painful to see how it all cesses out. A lot of people I worked with back in the day are out of the animation industry completely. And on some level, I'm in that boat as well. I've done more video editing in the past few years than I've done animation. It's not fun, but, the animation industry is fine. They're going to keep making stuff. It's just that the people in charge, as always, are mean-spirited and always chasing dollar signs. I suppose I shouldn't say they're mean-spirited, but I can't tell you how many meetings I've been in where the heads of the companies have told us, oh, everything's great. I know you're all working very hard, and we appreciate all the hard work for you, but trust me, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it at the end of the day. Don't worry. Just, keep working hard, doing everything you can to push our company and our project forward because it'll be worth it at the end of the day. And, oh, by the way, you're laid off. On some level, that's the part that irks me more. Just the two-faced nature of the people in charge. The people who decide, oh, we need to hire 300 more new people to do more new work, and then that doesn't work out, so we got to lay off those 300 people. But what about the people who came up with the plan to hire all those people in the first place? Well, they're probably getting promoted. It's funny how they can just completely lie to your face and say, hey, everything's great. We appreciate you working nights and your weekends so much. It's going to be worth it. Oh, and you're going to have to find someplace else to work now because we don't need you anymore. The other big fear I hear people talking about is branded content. And yeah, branded content is out of control. And of course, it still loops to the same thing, the dollar sign. It's almost stunning how much nobody wants to pay for anything anymore. It's like, They all say build a better mousetrap. Well, nobody wants to build a better mousetrap. They just want to build the same thing over again, cheaper. And that's definitely true in Hollywood. Nobody wants to build a better mousetrap. They just want to build a cheaper mousetrap. And that's why branded content is pretty much out of control. How many Star Wars cartoons are there now? And anything that's original, when you look at it, it's clearly some copy or clone of something that existed before. I mean, on some level, all the shows on Fox are like the same show on some level. For the most part, they're static family sitcoms. There are differences between them, but not one of them is a Popeye cartoon. Not one of them is a Justice League cartoon. Not one of them is a Roadrunner cartoon. Not one of them's a Beavis and Butthead. Even Futurama, on some level, is a family sitcom. It's just that they're a work family and there are no children. If you're not counting Fry. But that's been an old and successful joke in Hollywood for a long time. If you can take your original content and sell it as being exactly like some successful brand, then it will get bought. When will this overload of branded content end? Well, it's hard to say. Usually, on some level, it's not going to end. But at some point, something fresh and original is going to break through. And then everybody's just going to copy that. So I don't know if the needle will ever really move. The next big threat everybody was talking about was AI. AI is going to come for all the animation jobs. Well, I kind of have a hard time seeing that happening. At least not within, next couple of years or so. I've tried to pay attention to AI content as much as I can, as most of it is impressive. I don't necessarily fear it, as a lot of people do. And I think my fear just comes from trying to accept it. It's like, yes, AI is going to come in and disrupt everything, and jobs are going to be lost. If that puts you into panic mode, you're just hurting yourself. You can't stop this. It's going to happen. So you're going to have to roll with the punches. And sadly, if that means you have to get out of the animation industry, or you get squeezed out of the animation industry, that happens to a lot of us. And I'm sorry. But for the most part, I don't see AI being a tool that's going to be that huge yet. For the longest time, I had people telling me, tablets were going to take over the animation industry. Everybody's just going to, do work in the computer. Nobody's going to be drawing anymore. It's all going to be done in the computer. And as I looked at the industry, I was always like, no, it's not. A computer cannot beat the speed and versatility of a piece of paper and a pencil. Then one day, the Cintiq showed up. And that's when I said, yes, okay, now a computer can beat a piece of paper and a pencil. And it pretty much has. And I'm not doing this to toot my own horn on being able to see changes as they come. I kind of say this more as along the lines to explain where I'm coming from. Try to understand what the AI systems are actually doing. And I really don't see them putting animators out of work for now. Yes, they can totally help when it comes to character design. But I haven't seen anything that makes me believe they can take over storyboards anytime soon. Maybe they can do storyboard cleanups. I haven't really seen anybody do that with an AI system yet, but that might be something it can do effectively. The sad part about that is that's a beginner job usually. Getting a storyboard cleanup job is usually a beginning person's job. And of course, the danger there is if you're not hiring new people, then nobody's learning this, and you're going to have a real hiring problem in the future. Now, the one piece of AI I think is probably going to be welcomed with open arms so far is the hardest AI system, the inbetweening machine. You get an animator to draw the key poses, and then you need 6 or 7 or 8 or 12 drawings in between those key poses. That goes to the assistant animator, that goes to the in-betweener, maybe even the cleanup artist in there helps out. If you can get an AI system to take key 1 and key 10 and put in all the in-between drawings, ho, ho, ho. Now that's a big game changer. I don't know anybody, studio or artist, who doesn't want that. That's going to be embraced with open arms. Now, sure, there's going to be some people who are going to be like, oh no, it's got to be old school. It's, you can't have an AI system in between. You're taking jobs from in-betweeners. Well, speaking on the American side of animation, there are no in-betweeners in America. I'm sure there's a few, but for the most part, there are no in-betweeners in America. So in the United States, nobody's going to be losing a job with an in-betweener machine. Korea and Japan, yeah, they'll be heavily impacted by that. But sure, somebody's going to be against it. Glenn Keane famously quit Disney because he didn't want to make CGI movies. He wanted to make hand-drawn films. And I definitely applaud him for that. And, if you want to be a true-on artisan and make sure all your in-betweening is done by yourself or another fellow human being, that's totally fine. But just as the Xerox machine took over inking on animation cells and the computer took over coloring animation cells, there's no stopping the AI in-betweening machine. It's going to be an industry standard. It's going to be a hobbyist standard. And personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As it's often been said, timing is the most important thing in animation. That's what makes it live and breathe. And the in-betweening machine I'm talking about isn't so much going to control the timing. The animator will still control the timing. It'll tell the in-betweening machine, and honestly, I don't know how this will work, but it should be something along the lines of, do 12 drawings in between here and have it slow out on that body part or all of it or, however. So there should always be a human in charge of this system. But boy, is the world going to change in animation once the in-betweening machine is created. But again, overall, no, the animation industry is not collapsing. I know there was also a little talk about how, indie animation studios are going to save us. And, I don't want to necessarily poo-poo that idea, but I'm not really waiting for that white horse to ride in. I've seen so many well-meaning animation studios set up by highly talented people that go nowhere. The thing about animation, as opposed to like live action, it's just so expensive. The startup fee is so expensive. Independent studios just can't get that kind of money. Where a live action, if you want to make a live action movie, you can just film your friends running around the neighborhood doing a slasher movie. You can do that for a couple $1,000. You want to do an animated movie that's going to look competent? You're going to need like $100,000 at least. Because if you're the head of the indie animation studio, now you're the boss that's hiring and laying people off. You've just become the enemy. And when that AI in-betweening machine shows up, you're going to jump on that thing. I guess the sad part of all of this in the animation industry is it's just business as usual. Back in the 70s to 80s, when all the animation for television went overseas, hundreds of people got laid off and they had to leave the industry. It's just business as usual in animation. And that's why it's said the animation industry will break your heart. And I remember years ago, people got upset at the famed Japanese director Hayao Miyazaki when a little girl had written him a letter and asked him, how to be an animation, how to get into animation, and, she'd like to be an animator. And his response was basically, don't. You'll live a happier life doing something else. Because animation is hard, and the studios make it harder. So, it's just business as usual. Good part is, I guess, the animation industry is not going anywhere. So try not to be down about it. Keep your head up. We're still going to get good cartoons. They still show up. And people will still get careers out of them. But what do you think about all this? Do you think I'm wrong? And you think the industry is really going to collapse on some catastrophic level? Let me know. I don't know everything. But, thanks for listening, and watching. And if you can be so kind to like and subscribe, I'll keep talking. Till then, keep watching cartoons and take care of yourself.